Welcome, and thank you for joining me during this presentation as we look at the concept of intimacy. During this presentation, I hope to provide knowledge and insight into relational intimacy, discuss factors that affect intimacy styles, and suggest strategies to increase intimacy in relationship. Thanks again for joining me, and God bless. Defining intimacy is not a black and white matter. Many definitions have been provided for the word intimacy, such as the Merriam-Webster.com Dictionary 2020 definition, emotional warmth and closeness. Garima Shinshan in 2012 defines intimacy as, quote, the capacity to commit to concrete affiliations and partnerships and to develop the ethical strength to abide by such commitments even though they may call for significant sacrifices and compromises, end quote. Delamater and Hyde in 29 provide a thorough definition for intimacy as, quote, openness, honesty, mutual self-disclosure, caring, warmth, protecting, helping, being devoted to each other, mutually attentive, mutually committed, surrendering control, dropping defenses, becoming emotional, feeling distressed when separation occurs, verbal sharing and declarations of liking and loving the other, and as in demonstrations of affection, end quote. As we can see by the variations within these three definitions and the vast nature of Delamater and Hyde's definition, intimacy is a broad and unique function. Delamater and Hyde also state, quote, one way to think about intimacy is that certain persons have more of a capacity for intimacy or engage in more intimacy-promoting behaviors than others, end quote. We will later discuss the elements of capacity engagement, but it's important to keep in mind that intimacy is qualitative and quantitative. It has varying degrees and layers, and it is experienced uniquely by the individual. Intimacy is a degree of depth and truth that an individual is willing comfortably to share with another. Orlovsky, Marcia, and Lesser, 1973, suggests that intimacy may be best understood by analyzing qualitatively different styles of close personal relationships rather than by conceptualizing intimacy as a construct that can be assessed on a high to low scale, end quote. Through this analysis, 5 unique statuses are presented by Orlovsky et al. 1973. Intimate individuals develop depth and closeness in relationship by vulnerably providing self-disclosure and committing exclusively to another. Pre-intimate individuals enjoy intimacy with others but are not committed exclusively to another individual. Stereotyped persons enjoy the company of many but are unwilling to dive deep into intimacy and commitment with others, keeping conversation at a superficial level. Pseudo-intimates are similar to stereotyped individuals, but will at times commit to an exclusive relationship. Lastly, isolates cannot maintain personal relationships, rarely initiate or pursue social contexts, and dwell in solitude. Shinsen, 2012. Many variables and factors through life experience create an individual's intimacy capacity and engagement. From the moment that a baby is born, we learn through theories of development, and specifically through Erikson's attachment theory, that the infant is about to undergo a period of time where she or he begins to attach and bond with a primary caregiver. This period of time is vital for each one of us, as it will ultimately set a course and tone for our entire carnal existence. Through secure attachment, the child has a greater probability of sowing trust, depth, confidence, and self into each and every relationship formed, yielding a great harvest of intimacy. In contrast, when insecurely attached, trust, esteem, vulnerability, authenticity, and fear issues arise, making relationship building and intimacy a challenge. The way in which the infant attaches will affect relationships throughout his or her lifespan. In mid to late adolescence, the individual enters what Erikson theorized as the sixth psychosocial task, the intimacy versus isolation stage. Quote, McLeod 2018. This is when people begin to feel both an internal need and external pressures to amalgamate their identities with the identities of others. Shinsen 2012. Quote, individuals learn to be less self-focused, open themselves to experience closeness and vulnerability with others, and make judgments about surrendering some autonomy in favor of experiencing harmony and coalition without fear of losing parts of their own identity. For those who experience secure attachment, this process is a natural development and is an enjoyable and exciting adventure. However, those who harness avoidant, anxious, or disorganized attachment may withdraw from relationship due to the fear, mistrust, pain, and discomfort that is involved. This focus of developing deep intimacy with others is successfully resolved by obtaining authentic friendships and loving romantic relationships. Failing to resolve this stage results in feelings of loneliness and isolation, generating significant fear of relationship and intimacy, which can be contributing factors to social anxiety disorder and other mental health disorders, such as depression, panic disorder, agoraphobia, etc. Social anxiety is associated with difficulties in intimate relationships. Because fear of negative evaluation is a cardinal feature of social anxiety disorder, perceived criticism and upset due to criticism from partners may play a significant role in socially anxious individuals' intimate relationships. Porter, Chambliss, Keefe from 2017. Individuals who experience fearful, preoccupied, or dismissing attachment can often struggle with anxiety, being overly concerned with receiving love and care, and/or avoidance, being wary and dismissing intimacy. Anxiety is often thought to be a result of fear of rejection and/or abandonment, while avoidance is a result of fear of incompetence within relationship. Porter et al. 2017. Anxious ambivalence attached individuals suffer feelings of loneliness and diminished self-esteem, and those with avoidant attachment willingly distance themselves emotionally from others and avoid intimacy and vulnerability. Shinsen, 2012. Individuals with social anxiety disorder have difficulty forming relationships, including romantic relationships, and continue to experience relationship difficulties even when they are successful in establishing romantic relationships. Porter et al. 2017. Social anxiety contributes to decreased relationship satisfaction, diminished social support, difficulty with effective communication, and lack of relational intimacy, self-disclosure, expression of emotion, and even relationship dissolution. Porter et al. 2017. Fear of rejection and excessive fear of negative evaluation often leave the social anxiety disorder individual incessantly scanning their environments for these social threats. For these individuals, criticism from a partner may be particularly upsetting, as it may be interpreted as confirmation of these individuals' worst fears, as they will be negatively evaluated and rejected by others. Porter et al. 2017. Standard treatment options for individuals with social anxiety disorder are cognitive behavioral therapy and serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors. These treatments, however, inadequately address the interpersonal difficulties, the feelings, thoughts, and behaviors that interfere with the ability to bond with others that are associated with social anxiety disorder. Cognitive behavioral therapy is found to provide minor improvements with interpersonal functionality, but is often unable to restore an individual to normative levels of internalizing and externalizing factors. Porter et al. 2017 state, decreasing perceived criticism among patients with social anxiety disorder has the potential to improve treatment response rates and increase relationship satisfaction. Addressing self-esteem matters can also help alleviate perceptions of criticism, because self-esteem, quote, is associated with exaggerated sensitivity and a tendency to overreact to rejection or negative feedback from others. Bankston, 2012, end quote. Interventions that help equip an individual with tools and resources to decrease distress when criticized by a partner have been found beneficial in alleviating relationship dissatisfaction and lack of intimacy. Quote, such interventions might involve utilizing cognitive restructuring to modify the attributions that these individuals make for a partner's criticism, end quote. Porter et al. 2017. Lastly, being that individuals with social anxiety disorder express increased criticism within romantic relationships, clinicians can provide communication training and resources to social anxiety disorder clients, which reduce externalizing critical outcomes while promoting intimacy, self-disclosure, and relational satisfaction. As you view the 6 key points of this presentation, I will conclude with this. Intimacy is a facet of relationship that can determine the strength and satisfaction that is experienced. Many different variables through life experience will inevitably determine the specific intimate experience that the individual encounters. In the beginning stages of life, secure attachment will equip the individual with a foundation that can facilitate healthy, intimate relationships. However, even those who experience secure attachment may suffer self-esteem issues, social anxiety issues, or other mental health issues that could bind them with intimacy problems. All in all, being in relationship with others is difficult and requires work and diligence. Those who value deep, authentic, vulnerable intimacy with their loved ones must constantly work on improving interpersonal functionality, and those who do will reap what they sow. Thank you for joining me during this presentation about intimacy. I hope you were able to learn and gain understanding about this multifaceted concept of intimacy. I wish blessings into your relationships and hope that you will eventually develop the intimacy with others that you desire. I bless you on your journey. Thanks again.